Welcome to Leander ISD's Sexual Harassment and Discrimination lesson. Hi class! Today we will be discussing the different forms of workplace discrimination and sexual harassment, how to spot it, and ways to prevent and report these occurrences.
What exactly is discrimination in the workplace?
Workplace discrimination can take several forms, such as unfair treatment, retaliation, sexual harassment, and denial of reasonable accommodations. Discrimination can be based on many attributes, such as age, race, gender, and national origin, just to name a few.
Wow, I didn't realize there were so many ways discrimination could occur. In my previous job, my supervisor made me sweep the floor every day I came to work. Would that be considered discrimination?
Well, did your supervisor ask all employees to sweep the floor when they came to work?
Yeah, they did.
In that case, a situation like yours would not be considered discrimination. Your supervisor's choice to make all employees sweep the floor was not prejudicial treatment of a protected class.
That makes sense. You also mentioned sexual harassment as a form of discrimination. What do you mean by that?
Well, sexual harassment is when an employer, supervisor, colleague, subordinate, or even a customer makes sexual conduct a condition of employment, or the behaviors are so severe and pervasive that it creates a work environment that a reasonable person would consider intimidating, hostile, or abusive. Certain behaviors may also be considered sexual harassment if they impair an employee's ability to work.
Well, what types of behaviors qualify as sexual harassment?
There are two types of sexual harassment: quid pro quo and hostile work environment. Quid pro quo occurs when there is a proposed exchange of work advancement or privileges for sexual or personal favors. If an employee were to say,
"If you go out with me, I'll give you a promotion,"
that could be considered quid pro quo harassment. This type usually occurs between a supervisor and their subordinate because they have the ability to hire, fire, promote, and demote their employees.
That sounds severe. Is hostile work environment similar?
Quid pro quo is oftentimes the more severe form. However, a hostile work environment can be very problematic too. This form occurs when there are demeaning sexual inquiries, offensive language or written materials, and requests for sexual favors. Verbal harassment can occur through dirty jokes and sexual innuendos or comments. Visual harassment can mean vulgar emails or pictures, which also violates the district's technology and usage guidelines. Physical harassment is any unwelcome touching, hugging, back rubs, etc.
How do I know if it is actually sexual harassment or not?
This is a great question. Let's take a look. These behaviors could be considered sexual harassment if the recipient perceives the actions as severe or pervasive. The reasonable person standard is used to officially determine if the actions were sexual harassment once the complaint has been filed. This means if someone who exercises average care and judgment were to feel as though the actions or behaviors in question qualify as sexual harassment, then the verdict pertaining to the complaint filed will most likely be in favor of the victim.
Well, what happens if this does occur?
All employees have the right to a work environment free from discrimination and sexual harassment. If you feel this right has been violated, you should immediately inform your supervisor. If your supervisor is the one exhibiting inappropriate or discriminatory behavior, report it to their supervisor or human resources.
Thank you so much for all the useful information. I feel much better now that I know how to handle situations pertaining to these issues if they arise in the workplace.
No problem. I'm glad I could help. If you feel like you have been a victim of discrimination, speak up, report it, or contact HR.